Welcome back to Hannity. As Charles Krauthammer just explained to us, even though Republicans didn't win the White House on Tuesday, the party has the tools it needs to make a comeback. Already today, many are asking the question, who will be the next star of the GOP? Well, one person who is getting a lot of attention is Florida Senator Marco Rubio. He was often seen on the campaign trail this election cycle, and just this week it was announced he would travel to Iowa later this month. What could this mean? Joining me now to discuss Senator Rubio and the rest of the very deep bench the Republican Party has is the author of Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk, and the senior editor at the American Spectator, John Fund, Fox News contributor Deneen Borelli. Well, John and Deneen, thank you very much for being here. I think if you're talking about the new rising stars in the Republican Party, you've really got to start with Paul Ryan.
You do. One lesson that we've learned from the recent election is that you can't win on the national level if you are an established Republican candidate. That involved Romney and also going back to the McCain campaign. What we need are individuals with a strong message of conservative values that are able to communicate that message so that people can understand that it's individuals and it's not government. Free market is the way to really succeed in this country. And I think we need really core individuals that can deliver that message. I think Rubio is someone, he could carry Florida, he could relate to Hispanics, and I think he has a strong conservative base for himself.
Well, and if you look at sort of folks who weren't on the national ticket this time, not Marco Rubio at this point, think about some of the other people that you see, John, who are up and coming. It seems to me that this debate about where the party's going is largely going to be settled by folks like those we've got now in the House and Senate, as well as some of the terrific governors out there.
Right, and on the off chance Marco Rubio doesn't run, there's a wonderful governor in New Mexico, Susana Martinez, who could easily step in. There's also Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire, who was on the short list for vice president. There's also various governors out there, Jindal from Louisiana. Christie of New Jersey, I think, may have to go into political rehab for a little bit. He's bruised some feelings.
Well, let's talk about Chris Christie for a minute, because he clearly was somebody. He obviously gave the keynote at the Republican National Convention. He was someone who was on the short list to be vice president this time around. But he is certainly, because of his sort of reaction to President Obama coming in, many people in the party thought that was excessive, that, you know, making sure the president was there to help his state made sense, but that the praise for the president went overboard. Deneen, how much do you think Chris Christie has hurt himself?
Well, I really don't think he's a conservative. He has a command and control energy policy for the state of New Jersey, where utilities have to purchase a certain amount of solar panel power to provide energy for the state. But I think the hug was very premature, because a lot of people are still hurting and still suffering from the consequences of the hurricane.
In addition to having these terrific young people coming up, which we certainly do have, and we could have an entire show about who they are, the party did learn some lessons on election night about turnout in particular. And what is your sense, John, of what we need to do to make sure that next time around, frankly, we are able to match and even overcome the kind of turnout machine the Democrats have?
Well, a few days before the election, the Romney campaign sprung a surprise on everyone, including their own workers and volunteers. Orca, which was going to be this computer-based get-out-the-vote effort, so use computers and tablets to tell you who hasn't voted and then tell people how to contact them to bring them to the polls. Well, it crashed repeatedly on election night. I mean, this is going to go down in history as the Vista, as the New Coke, as the Ishtar, I mean, as the Heaven's Gate of disasters. I mean, you literally had 35,000 volunteers whose job was to get out the vote, wandering around like zombies with no direction. They didn't know what they were going to do. And the one thing we know about the Obama campaign, they spent the last 4 years perfecting their ground game, perfecting technology, and I will just guarantee you, the candidate who is really going to get early donor support in this next race for president, really going to get early activist support, is the candidate who will clear out some of these consultants that have been hanging around the party like barnacles for an awful long time.
Yeah, more conservatives and fewer consultants. I think that's
there you go.
A good strategy for the party going forward. Thank you both very much, Deneen and John.